Do you, James Radzinski, take TikTok as your bride? I do. You sleep with her, you eat with her, you even poop with her. Now, most of the TikTok addicts are gonna get bored any second now and click off this video. But before you leave, let me ask you a question. Do you really like it? Do you really like laying in your bed for hours every single morning, not having enough willpower to get up and start your day? Do you really like rotting away on your bed, not moving an inch, scrolling for hours? Yeah, you do like it, because who doesn't like that? No, seriously, I'm actually not being sarcastic right now. Everyone likes laying in their bed doing this. That's why we do it. But the issue is what happens afterwards. What happens after when you have to meet reality and you have to actually start your day, you have to actually use the bathroom, you have to actually brush your teeth. The thing that happens after that, everything in life feels like a chore. Everything feels so difficult when you're addicted to TikTok. And I remember when I was younger, I used to see people doing things like do. I used to see my parents like do all the dishes and do all kinds of stuff. And I was like, how do you do that? This must be so crazy. But now I realize it's just because I had a crippling addiction to TikTok, making it impossible for me to do anything. Because what happens with TikTok is when you start to do something, it's 10 times more difficult because you're so used to easy things. Imagine this. Imagine with the swipe of a finger, you can receive anything you wish. That's exactly what TikTok does. So imagine what happens when you get placed into reality and you realize that you can't just say, oh, $1,000, please. Oh, cheeseburger, please. You can't do that in reality. And so it sucks. That's why the TikTok addiction is so bad. And since you're still here, since you aren't one of the many TikTok addicts who left this video already, you probably want to know how you can get out of this addiction. Well, first of all, let me tell you that it is possible, because I was just in this addiction, and let me tell you, I had this friend, and it was the last day of school, about to be summer, and I knew I wasn't going to see him all summer, and he just randomly said, delete TikTok. And I was addicted to TikTok, so I didn't want to do it, but I had a lot of respect for him, and I cared about what he thought of me, so I just did it right then and there. I deleted it. But then I came home, and I was so bored, and so instead of getting on TikTok, I got on YouTube. And I felt so guilty for being on YouTube, but that's the thing. That was exactly what I should have done, because you can't escape this addiction. You have to trade it for another addiction. And YouTube is so much less worse than TikTok. And so once you trade, that's the first step. You just have to trade your TikTok addiction for a YouTube addiction, and then slowly but surely start to watch videos that you actually like to watch, things that you actually intend to do in real life. So for example, I used to be really into lifting weights, and so I would watch videos on lifting weights. Super entertaining, but I was still watching the things that I wanted to do, that I was going to take action in real life. And I was doing this stuff in real life. I was lifting weights. So that's what you have to do. First step, replace it with YouTube, but then be careful, because you do not want to stay there forever. Start to trade off your time from YouTube into reading books. So start to read books based off what you want to do. So the same stuff that you're watching YouTube videos, get books on those things. So for example, get a book on how to sleep properly if you're into sleep. If you want to improve your health, or anything that you're interested in, just get a book like that. And just take this with your own pace, and then over time, just make sure that you just don't fall back into that TikTok trap. In fact, delete your account right now. You're not going to do it. It's too scary. It is too scary to delete your account. But just think about it from a sober state of mind. All you're doing is clicking a few buttons and then removing that account. You could always make a new account later, but it's so scary to do that. That symbolizes your addiction, your fear from actually deleting the account. That's what you call addiction. You can't separate from that. But to be honest, this plan won't work unless you follow two exercises. And in order to get you to understand why you need to do these, it makes sense to ask you a question. Have you ever gone throughout your day and you just did something so stupid that you regretted it afterwards? You're like, oh, how could I have done that? For example, there were like a common thing that murderers say in trial afterwards. They're like, oh, I don't even know what came upon me. I don't even know how I could have done such a thing. And you may be thinking that they're lying, but there may be something to it. And it's because on TikTok, you don't even exist. No, seriously, you don't exist when you're watching TikTok. Remember back to the last time you watched TikTok. Do you remember existing? Like, do you just remember it? Because I remember I used to watch TikTok and I would log on in the morning and then I would just teleport 3 hours down the road. And yeah, here and there I woke up and I was like, oh, I was conscious to reality, but then I just instantly immersed myself back in. That's what TikTok does to you. It trains your brain to stay immersed. And so when it comes to real life, you're more immersed. And so you're not really in control of you're not really consciously choosing what to do. That's why you end up doing stupid things that you regret. And so the first exercise to do to cure that is meditation. Meditation basically reverses that. It basically allows you to actually be aware of yourself, and it starts to heal that in your brain. But then there's another thing, and it's you're super intolerant to boredom right now. That's why I have to have all these fancy edits. I'm not going to edit that, by the way. I have to have all these fancy edits to keep you engaged, because you're super intolerant to boredom. Look, I have 3 cameras, 1, 2, 3, and I keep switching back and forth between them all because you're so intolerant to boredom. I have to keep you engaged. And so the exercise to actually cure that is simple. I'm doing it right now. Like, you literally just do nothing. You just sit down and stare at a wall. I'm not even kidding. You just have to get bored. And once you start doing that, you'll start to be a little bit more tolerant to boredom. And so those are the 2 exercises. But do you remember that weird clip that I played in the beginning of the video where I was getting married to TikTok? I do not